Rasty McGibbon with ACHA Legend, Al Murdoch. Al, thanks for coming on.
Hey,
and I apologize. They took your trophy, and it is over across the corridor at the D1 display as it will be presented tonight.
Oh man, live.
Let me tell you, how much of an honor is it that the D1 trophy is named after you?
It's a pretty big honor, actually. It's bigger each year. I tell my kids and my grandkids, it was important for me that this organization going and that it still be alive, and to have the trophy named after me, I think was a good thing.
Originally from Manitoba.
Yep.
And then Bemidji, right?
Yep.
And then Iowa State.
Yep.
And then the formation of the ACHA.
Yeah.
And then still involved with the ACHA. Academic advisor. Just got to go as the academic advisor to the World Cup of University Hockey.
Yeah.
Academic advisor not only for Team USA but also for Team Canada.
Yeah.
How do you put it all in perspective, Al? I mean, you've had a darn good life.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you live another 30 years, you've had a good life.
I'd like to go another 30 years. Some days I'm lucky if I go another 5 years. But it's been a good ride. A lot of things have occurred that I never would have predicted. I'm from Manitoba. I played all sports, not just hockey, but football, and I ran track. And track is probably what I was best at. And ended up at Bemidji State and ran track and cross country there.
And then tell me how, because you also got involved with hockey at Bemidji, right?
You bet.
Yeah, tell me about that now.
Yeah, it was kind of an upside down thing because I'd gone to college in Canada at Brandon College, now Brandon University, and played hockey there, played football there. They had this crazy rule, NCAA, NAIA, that if you played at a previous school, you had to sit out. So when I went to Bemidji, I didn't participate right away.
Gotcha.
As time went on, Bob Peters did a great job there. He had some outstanding athletes from Canada and the U.S. and won several championships at several levels. But I ran track and cross country there. They honored me this last year. I felt greatly honored to be brought back to Bemidji State for all the things that I'd done in various sports. And when I got to Iowa State, to work on a master's degree.
What were you working on a master's in?
Education.
Education, okay.
Higher education.
Higher education, okay.
How you teach people so that they retain it and use it and pass it on to the next generation. Effective teaching was kind of my specialty. How can you be effective? So it was ironic that at Iowa State, grad students could play. So I actually played the first 2 years I was at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And then I became kind of like a player coach. And then I thought, what
rink were you using back then?
Yeah, back then we played a lot of games at the Des Moines Ice Arena.
Okay.
They were in the International Hockey League.
Okay.
And they were opening Hilton Coliseum, and I said, hey, why don't you put ice in there? And they said, well, we don't have enough money to put ice in Hilton Coliseum. That's expensive. And I said, what would it take to put ice in there? Oh, boy. And they got an estimate, $100,000. And I said, you got to have some people around the country that are interested in hockey, maybe graduated in engineering at Iowa State.
Sure.
They said, yeah, we got this guy in Chicago. Maybe you could go over and see what you could do. So I drove to Chicago that first fall. I was at Iowa State and talked to this gentleman. And I said, if we get a little extra money, we can put that ice in a big 15,000 seat facility, Hilton Coliseum. I said, what's it take? Well, $100,000 is what they've told me. He got out the checkbook and wrote a check for $100,000. I drove back the same day from Chicago to Iowa State and handed them the $100,000. I said, put the ice in. And they were pretty flabbergasted. They didn't think.
At that time, did you encounter any resistance, or they were on board?
I think they thought it was an impossible thing for some guy, some schnook from Canada, to go out and ask for $100,000. But I did it.
But they didn't know what guys from Manitoba were like.
That's right.
There you go.
Where anything's possible. So went ahead and did that. And that's how this damn book came about. That was the foundation of it.
Tell me, while we're here, tell me a little bit about the book.
Yeah, the book.
How many years were you at Iowa State?
From 1969 through the present.
Wow.
And I'm retired now. It's hard to believe a young guy like me being retired.
I don't know what you're doing with all this time.
My kid said, Dad, Grandpa, you got to write down some of this stuff. And I said, well, I'd kind of like to do that. And of course, my foundation, the foundation in the book, was about my dad running in Scotland. And it's ironic that we're doing this right now because it was 100 years ago now. 100 years ago, he was a runner in Scotland. And he would tell me stories about various races, and most of them were middle distance, 1 mile, 3 miles, 6 miles. And he said he was in this one race where the top 2 guys got to go to France.
Oh, yeah.
And so he trained and he ran a lot of races. He won lots of medals. And this race comes along, and he said, I was running in the race and I was in 3rd place. And I saw the 2nd place runner ahead of me. I thought I could catch him. So he said, I ran hard and I caught that 2nd place runner. And then there was the 1st place runner ahead of him, and I ran fast enough and I caught him. But by the finish line, he had worn himself out so much that 2 runners caught him and passed him. So he ended up in 3rd and went to Canada. Got in a boat in Scotland,
Holy moly.
went to Canada, never went back. Now, I'm in a movie theater, and I've gotten married, and I've got kids, and I'm in a movie theater in Ames, Iowa, watching this damn movie, Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
And it's about the athletes training in Great Britain, like my dad.
Yeah.
And the top 2 got to go to the Olympics in Paris, France. I called my dad. I got out of the theater. My dad was still living then. I got out of the theater, and I said, Dad, that was the damn Olympics. If you could have just hung in there and gotten 2nd, you didn't have to get 1st, you got 2nd, you would have gone to the Olympics.
And what did he say?
Alan, you don't ever run to come 2nd. End of conversation. We never talked about it again, but that was imprinted on me, and that was a lot of the basis of the book. And my kids and grandkids have said, hey, man alive, you got to write some of this stuff down. And I'm getting to an age where my hair is getting gray. I don't know what causes that. And some of it's starting to fall out. Well, if you figure out,
please tell me, okay? I'm not having it fall out. It's growing in places it wasn't 3 years ago, but that's another conversation. So go ahead.
Really the basic philosophy of my life. I get to Iowa State. Hey, why just be a team that plays in Des Moines? We ended up playing for 10 years in Hilton Coliseum. Seats 15,000 people. It was big time. I didn't know the difference between varsity and club and all that stuff. I never ever referred to our program as a club program. We were a team.
Right.
And we played well. I got enough people interested in this philosophy of play to the best of your ability. Don't allow schools to call you a club. CLUB was a dirty word in my books, still is. But a lot of administrators, they don't like the idea that a group of people can organize and win a national championship. And we won a national championship with the Iowa State hockey team following that philosophy. So I've had a lot of athletes over the years. So there's stories about many of them in the book. I need to do another book so I make sure I don't miss any athletes along the way. But it's been a fun ride, and I want to keep her rolling.
One of the things, Al, and you know what's funny? The first time that I ever met you, because historically I'd been a D2 guy, I met you in Columbus, and I don't remember whether it was 2017 or 2018, but I remember meeting you. And I think the one takeaway now, seeing you yearly, having been to Romania for the World Cup with you, us in different capacities, is I think the thing that I will always take away, and if I had to describe you in one word, okay, it would be positivity. How do you think that you have used, and I'll tell you something, someone that is positive and is able to kind of skim the cream off the top and look at the bright side of stuff, how do you think that positivity has helped you in the formation of the ACHA? Because almost like the Constitution, you are one of the founding fathers. So I had the opportunity to interview you and about 7 other guys for the 30th anniversary of the ACHA, and that was a true honor for me because I liked the story behind the scenes, right? Yeah. But you are a positivity, you are a can-do guy, right? You almost remind me of the Canadian beaver. They're industrious, they're hardworking.
That's right.
But tell me your role in the formation of the ACHA as the can-do guy.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, one of the stronger non-scholarship leagues in the country was the Central States Collegiate Hockey League. That included schools like Illinois and Ohio and several others that were the foundation of that league. And other schools around the country saw what we were doing and said, hey, we can do that. And I would encourage them, and I would say, damn right you can do it. Form a league down in Arizona, form a league in Florida, form a league, in Minnesota. Minnesota's got a lot of varsity programs, but they've got a lot of non-scholarship programs that do damn well.
And also guys that want to play.
Yeah. And the development of hockey and lots of hockey all over the country, we're not even going to branch off into some of the things that have grown. I've got a granddaughter who's going to go to the University of Maine on a hockey girls scholarship.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable. Who would have ever dreamed that? So I like that idea that hockey is one of these sports. It's very popular. It's well followed by fans who wish they could do what these players do,
Sure.
but come out to support them. And coaches, the executive board of the ACHA has been absolutely excellent. I also teach on the internet USA Hockey coaching levels 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
So I'm on the internet, and in any given night in the fall, I might be talking to 70 or 80 players from around the country. They have no idea there's so many others online,
right?
On the internet training.
Yeah.
But I consider myself fortunate. They still invite me to come to tournaments like this, the national tournament, that USA Hockey invites me to be online teaching coaches how to coach the sport correctly. It's just been a great opportunity.
Tell me a little bit about your international experience. I know that one of the highlights you've discussed before was coaching against Russia.
Yep. This World University Games deal was quite a deal back in the late 90s. I think it was 99, maybe 2000. And someone said, hey, maybe we should have Murdoch see if he can pull together a team to go to that.
Right.
And so I did. And it was a lot of players from around the country. I think there was 3 or 4. My son was on the team because he was playing for me at Iowa State.
Wow. Okay.
And that's a story in itself. But we had players from mostly the Central States Collegiate Hockey League, but other players from around the country. And we went to the World University Games, and I didn't know what this was. At World University Games, I thought this was just a few teams that got together for fun. Turns out to be it's second in size only to the Olympics itself.
Goodness sakes.
With all the sports and the athletes in the country. And, we knew that there was a team, the Russian team was in our bracket.
Oh boy.
And I saw them play their first round game, and I think they won like 9 or 10 goals. And they were just awesome. And they had a lot of players that went on to play in the NHL. And so I knew in the second game, but I was like my dad, you don't play to come second.
No.
So I put together a game plan with these players that kind of knew me and kind of believed in me. And, I convinced them that we could beat the Russians. And a lot of it was unorthodox. I knew the Russian style. You don't chase a guy behind their net. Well, I sent our guys chasing him behind the net, knocking the Russians down, stealing the puck. You don't play aggressive on offense when you're killing a penalty. You just wait for them to come to you. We didn't. I sent my players in to harass them, and Russians didn't expect it. And lo and behold, I think we won that game that night 6-3 or 5-3 or 6-4. We won by a couple of goals, but it was just outstanding play. And I remember in the locker room after the game, Jim Johansson was kind of our general manager. He passed away a few years ago, but he said, "Way to go, Murdoch. Good job, way to go."
So did you ever have any suspicion at that time that maybe some of their players were not university students? Or?
Oh, yeah. I would ask them outright, in the residence hall that we were in. I would see a few of the Russian players around a computer.
Yeah.
And I've been over to Russia 2 or 3 times, studying sports and hockey in particular.
Gotcha.
Anatoly Terezov was one of my teachers in Russia.
Okay.
And so I had no problem at all going up to these guys. I said, "So, what are you studying on the computer there? What subject?"
Yeah.
And they went, "Subject on the computer?" Oh, no, this is what we refer to in USA as pornography.
Oh, brother.
I said, oh, great.
So they
great.
were actually watching a porno?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
They weren't studying, those dirt bags.
Well, they were, but that's another conversation.
Yep.
So let me tell you, how much of an honor to be able, now that you're not, you're instructing but not an active coach,
Yep.
to go as the academic advisor to the World Cup?
It's a transition. My wife would be the first one to say, he struggles at times making that transition. When there's an Iowa State game on a Friday night or a Saturday night, I tell my wife, let's go to the game. But we've got to sit in the stands. First game I went to this fall, one of the coaches, actually was the son of a guy that played for me, Anfu Wong's son. He says, Coach, you got to come over to the bench. You got to come over to the bench. I said, no, that's okay. I'll be up in the stand.
Yeah.
So it's been tough. I won't second guess it. I miss coaching. I miss the sport. I'm fortunate. I've got grandkids that are really successful. I got a grandson in New York that's an exceptional hockey player. A grandson right in Ames, quite a good hockey player. A granddaughter in Chicago. She's the one that's going to go to Maine on a hockey scholarship. Women's hockey is really growing. So it's an honor, but there are times like this tournament, it's not easy sitting up above. I'd like to be down giving a pep talk, but I can't do that anymore.
I know.
I'm not a coach anymore.
So when you look at, we're probably looking 31, 32 years now, right? That the ACHA, with your can-do attitude, the same way that you look at your grandkids and you're, ecstatic with what they've accomplished. Do you sit back with a smile on your face and look out and, knowing that you are a founding father of what we're enjoying today?
Yeah. I enjoy it to a degree, but I know that it's not something that will carry forever. So I have to come to events like this and work the crowd, so to speak. What's his name from USA Hockey who's here today, so I spent some time with him and I told him, this ACHA is a pretty big deal, pretty big feather to have in USA Hockey's hat. So make sure you give them every opportunity possible. World University Games, we used to be a part of that, and we participate on the world level, but not in the World University Games. Some politics come into play, some money-hungry businesses come into play, so I hope that they're able to recover that. But it's really fun here. It's fun seeing all the banners up of all the previous champions. I know these players will carry with them, whether it's Iowa State or other schools like that, they'll carry this the rest of their lives.
So we're just going to give it a quick pitch. This is called Iowa State Hockey and Al Murdoch Building a Dream. Is it available on Amazon?
Oh, you bet.
Available on Amazon.
They'll have it to you within 48 hours from Amazon.
Fantastic. Al, always a pleasure. Lovely to see you. And again, great experiences in Romania there.
That's right. Romania.
This is Al Murdoch, ACHA Legend. On day 2 of pool play, men's Division 2. Got a Division 3 National Championship, and the cup bearing your name is going to be handed out starting, game starts at 8 o'clock tonight.
I'll get some of the young guys carrying it out there because it's too heavy for me.
It's a horse, isn't it?